The scene is set in the main room of the Gangrel Elysium, just after the aftermath of the brawl that occurred in the car park with the demise of Joey, the Bruja. The kindred who were involved or spectating shuffle back into the dimly lit bar. John Stanhope, limping along, has a side word to his driver, telling him to collect the ash of Joey. He expects that his sire will probably be wanting it. Takes a look at the filthy seat, puts down a napkin, and sits down at the bar.
There's a loud thud outside, like something falling from the sky. As an extremely large hound just walks through the door. And just slowly tilted from one side to the other. It walks through the couple rooms into a back room, and after a while, Darktone makes its way out with a glass of vitae.
Evening, Darkstone.
Evening, John. Well, that's an interesting ambience I feel here. Did something happen?
I only saw the latter half of it. Perhaps our young neonates would care to explain the full ins and outs of this well-maintained and secure Elysium.
Robert walks into the place. He's humbling a little bit. Out of character, I don't know if bite marks actually hurt if you walk on them.
No.
Okay.
They feel actually quite nice.
He walks. He takes his original seat where he first met James Schmidt. And someone roll his just for fun, just to see if he fails or botches. Someone roll 7 dice for him for Dex performance.
Sure.
If he botches, it would be hilarious.
You get 1 success.
Okay. He pulls his leg up. He pulls his ankle up to his face, like almost like a very limber dancer, and he just licks the bite marks on his ankle clean before setting his leg down and returning to the glass of Vitae he was consuming. He looks at the old man with the cane. He says, "Apologies for the show, sir." He was talking to John, by the way.
As James also walks back in, he's, well, for the people who've seen him before, he's usually quite calm, but he's, well, reasonably angry at this point still. Someone attacked him. How dare he? So he basically walks back to the bar and gets some Vitae. And he's mumbling in himself. Talking to himself. It's not really coherent what you're hearing, but if you're listening closely, you can hear he deserves it and stuff like that coming from him. And he's taking a seat in a bit away from the other people just to calm his nerves, so to speak.
Today's Vitae, gentlemen, is a subtle blend named House of Cards. I have a king, a queen, a knave, and an ace of every suit, from a luscious diamond to a sweet red heart, to as dark as a spade, and finally to as bloody as a club, all blended together for your amusement in this Elysium.
James will raise his glass to when Mr. Stanhope's saying this, and he gulps it down.
Good Vitae always helps cooler heads prevail, I find.
Robert looks at the glass, and then to who he presumes is the provider of these, and he I take it this is Vitae then?
John looks at him a little incredulously. Yes, unless you somehow have acquired a taste for other beverages.
Ah, I see. Apologies, I did not introduce myself. My name is Robert de Valois. You can call me Robert or Bobby if you wish.
Okay then, Robert. Glad to meet you. I am John Stanhope, Primogen of Clan Ventru. And where do you hail from, young one?
I grew up in, well, I spent a few years in, my first few years in France, but then the Great War pushed my family to the States. Hence why I don't sound like I am French, but my name sounds French. I grew up in, after that, in Hartford, Connecticut.
Let's see, and what clan do you hail from, Robert?
Toreador.
Oh, splendid. Have you introduced yourself to your Primogen?
Not yet. I seem to have had a eventful entrance into this city. I I had a very oh, what's the word? I had a business acquaintance here. The only vampire I really knew of. I don't really know her much, but she's of my clan, and she told me of this Elysium being held. Luckily, right as I'm intending to come, so as luck would have it, I'm here now.
Well, it is always a pleasure to see new blood come into our city, especially in such turmoil and interesting times.
He looks at Mr. Darkstone, like uh, he extends a hand to shake it. I haven't met you before, sir. My name is Robert de Valois.
He'll simply give a little salute, just slightly. It looks like he's slightly as well, quite annoyed at the situation right now. He'll give a little half nod in the middle of it. Darkstone.
He withdraws his hand. Like, a pleasure to meet you then, sir.
Yes.
As James finishes his drink, provided by Mr. Stanhope, he will walk over to. I'm sorry, Daniel. You have to give me your name again because.
Robert.
Okay, Robert. You will walk over to Robert and place a hand on his shoulder and thanks for the assistance out there.
Yes, sadly, the owner of the holder of the Elysium had to be called anyway. I'd hoped to diffuse the potential situation before it escalated, but it obviously didn't work.
There was no room for reasoning anymore. It all started just because he wanted some of my property. Yes.
You have every right to refuse him. But some
Yes.
people don't see it that way, I suppose.
No, they don't take kindly to no, it seems.
He gives a smile, once again, not really showing his teeth at all. He just keeps his lips closed and just smiles. Like, you are welcome. I'm glad I could at least prevent any serious harm from being taken to you or myself, although it seems he was just hungry for some reason.
Yes, little
Who
control
goes to
over
an
the blood.
Elysium hungry? He brushes it off the display, assuming that Joey hadn't fed before he went to Elysium. Such poor form.
Yes, well, I haven't met the individual before, so I can't really make a judgment on it. Yes. And with that, James will move over to Mr. Stanhope.
Is the Smith?
Mr. Stanhope, I don't know exactly when, but we met about a week or 2 weeks ago. You requested something of me. I've made a phone call, but I haven't received anything back. I hope this reached you, this phone call.
I'm afraid my chart has been rather busy. Have you been successful in the little task I gave you?
Yes.
Splendid. If you would care to forward the relevant information, I'm sure I can whip up an appropriate reward for your due effort.
Of course. I'll make sure I'll deliver it personally to you.
Excellent.
James takes a seat.
So, gentlemen, apart from the obvious, has anything exciting been happening within this Elysium?
Robert kind of speaks up. Well, from what I remember, apparently someone has disappeared, and the Nosferatu Primogen is looking for him. And Mr. Summers, I believe.
Disappeared?
Apparently so.
This is troubling. Mr. Schmidt, I would advise you to speak to your Primogen. Mr.
Yes.
Schmidt, of course, bound to the Tremere.
And this ties in where the problem started. I was making a note on my tablet on this. Well, as far as I was informed, Mr. Summers was to report to us. But he never did. So I made a note for myself to remind me and to discuss this. At which Mr. Joey got rather upset. And he wanted to know the reasoning, which I told him it was none of his business, of course. To which he followed me outside and tried to steal my tablet.
Yes, a most unfortunate situation.
Yes.
Well, it is such a shame that security did not stop the brawl before it escalated. And then when it did arrive, well, I can't deny it was effective.
I don't think there was reason to suspect he would go to this lengths to obtain something from me.
This is the unfortunate reality we live in, Mr. Smith. When anarchs are allowed to reign free and liberal ideals permeate a city from its prince down, unfortunately, it leads to some complications. People don't respect the rules.
Yes, well, it's definitely a wake-up call and a harsh reality check.
So, Mr. Darkstone, I haven't seen you for quite a while. Have you been keeping well?
Right. I've been around where the eye cannot see. Oh. I haven't heard much about Mr. Crown, though.
My
He,
apologies. He is dealing with some rather delicate business at the moment. I
I
will
see.
discipline him once his business is concluded.
Very good, very good. Uh, so, have you had any other uh, applicants that you think you would see in the clans?
There have been a few interesting kindred that have put my way. Unfortunately, most of them have either gone missing or are another business. Although I would heartily recommend you consider Mr. Smith here. He seems to be very apt at collecting information and, let's say, dutiful in his service towards the city.
Hmm. I shall keep that in mind. Uh, well, we'll see how the clans align again. Just these swift additions and departees from the city. It makes it's so unkindred like. Just coming and going. I would expect that from my clan, but not from the others.
Yes, I'm of half the mind to report to the High Council in Europe, try and promote our little city for a avenue. We have swathes of domain yet unclaimed. I'm sure there are many childer and neonates waiting to make it big in the new world.
Right. Hopefully. Well, I have no ill will if any of the clans hold domain in which they feel like they can handle. It would be better for all of us if there is some capable kindred to do such.
Just so. We seem to be awash with independents and anarchs. And
Yes.
we Camarilla seem to be getting less and less every day.
Yes, these anarchs. Let's see the so-called Teflon Gary is still around.
Have you seen the man, or is this another Nathaniel Richards? He's here, but he's not here. He's died.
Yeah,
Always alive.
I guess he's the next boogeyman in the sleeves of the anarch.
Well, they're as effective as they've always been then. Barely a ripple.
Yes. Though it's interesting ordeal. I feel like, well, none of them seem to know what anarchs truly are and what they are to Camarilla.
I think we should blame the legacy of Nathaniel Richards for that one.
Yes. It's, well, hopefully he's not coming back wherever he was sent to.
I thought he died for the final time. Is that not true?
Indeed. Wherever he was sent to.
Ah. I get them.
Yes, the city could use some structure with the anarchs, what you're saying, because there are again posters and talk of another event of theirs, another concert.
Really?
And if this ends in the same debacle as it did the last time,
And the prince is allowing this to happen. After the amount of effort it took to cover it up.
yes, well, I saw the flyers around from the unbondable masses or something like that again. It's the same group.
Ah, Javier.
Yes, this individual, which in my opinion still is responsible for what happened in the last concert.
This is getting most troublesome. Has anyone seen the prince recently?
No, I was actually hoping he would be here to present myself, but it seems that again it won't be happening today. Makes it quite hard to present oneself in this city when the prince is hardly around.
Then you simply present yourself to the seneschal. That is
Robert,
why he's there.
Robert will look up. Like, pardon me, but what happened at the last concert?
Tsimiski attack.
Yes, and
Ah,
The foolish anarchs decided to publicly advertise using Camarilla symbology and a very clear message that this was a Kingdra gathering. The Sabbat didn't have to be drooling morons to understand what it was and attacked.
yes, and there was some strange type of, well, an abomination of flesh, which seemed to go rampant.
Needless to say, it took a lot of the Camarilla's resources to quelch that one for the masquerade.
Yes.
I'm not sure how much more our masquerade within the city can take.
in that case, I can certainly understand the trepidation about another concert.
Yes, considering people are being taken into hospitals with bite marks and blood diseases.
I mean, damn, we have enough problem with children going missing with this Janus character to court the anarchs and their insufferable ways.
I've never heard of this individual before. Janus, you said?
Yes, there's an individual wanted. From our research, he is kidnapping kind children. You must have seen the newspapers. A local street performer wears a different face every time.
Let's see.
This interesting name.
My ancient mythology is a little rusty, and I believe Janus is the god of chaos in the Greek mythos.
Something about having two daughters with and two heads.
Yes, the
All
two-faced
about
Roman god.
that. Yes, that kind of like that yin and yang stuff in a more Greek way. Didn't really bother with that. I'm more of the Western Europe guy. Hmm. Europe is a interesting place in the beginning of the 20th century.
Just as the trailing remarks of Darkstone roll off of his tongue, the door to the slaughtered lamb swings open. Teresius Cole stands in the doorway, his blue suit covered in blood, his left claw seems to be coated in a dried blood. Cole moves slowly over to the bar, grasping one of the bottles of John Stansoap's vintages. He pops the cap and places the bottle to his lips, drinking deeply. The blood begins to drip from his mouth down his chin, mixing with the blood already soaked into his fine blue suit. The bottle is set back on top of the bar, empty, and Cole looks at the four kindred before him.
Such a shame you've stained your suit, Essential Cole. I could recommend a good dry cleaner.
It is garbage now. I would not wish to wear it again. Is there some kind of explanation for what happened out there? You, Tremere, what did you say to him to draw him into such a frenzy?
I didn't want to give my tablet. He came outside, out of character. Does my character know what celerity is? Can he...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would
Okay, he used the celerity to move really fast away from me, then fast towards me, and started punching me.
If you will excuse Mr. Stansoap, I believe we have things to discuss here.
Apologies, Mr. Cole. Are you wanting me to leave?
No. I wish to speak with you alone. It appears the Elysium has come to an end.
That is a shame. I hear it was going so swimmingly.
Cold rage seems to boil over Terracius Cole as he gazes into the eyes of John Stansoap.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
James makes his way outside. He apologizes for the event that happened to Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole. And sighs, shakes his head a bit as he moves outside of the door to his car and drives away.
Robert will give a small bow to Mr. Cole, to Terracius Cole. Say my apologies for the incident. He turns and gives everyone a polite nod before leaving as well.
Well, gentlemen, before you all disappear, I would like to invite you to an after party in the Odyssey Casino. I'm sure Mr. Cole won't take too long, so we can celebrate this evening under more pleasant atmosphere.
Cole removes his bloody soaked jacket, tossing it atop the bar. Gazing throughout the room to be certain all have left.
Almost unnoticed, perhaps, in the corner. I'll be making a sort of hiding roll in a second. Observing everything for most of the evening, almost unnoticed. There's Carl.
If you're not moving, you don't need to roll.
I'm not using obfuscate. That would be a breach of etiquette.
Oh, okay.
And I am very much on etiquette, but I am kind of
Okay.
I'm trying to be inconspicuous. I'm very good at being inconspicuous. As your gaze walks around the room, you know, he may move behind a chair or a pillar. He's just keeping out of the way because of all the anger that's currently going on.
John will roll just in case. I've got terrible dice for this, but just to see if I notice. Nah, I doubt you'll get less than one success.
I'm going to put up some...
Yeah, give me a dex stealth roll.
Let me just double check that, sorry.
I'll go difficulty 7.
Four successes, defender wins.
Defender wins. Yeah. Cole doesn't notice him either.
Before you start your private chat as everyone else has left the room, he just quietly walks up to Mr. Stansoap and sort of goes, and hands him a USB drive. This is what I can find out.
We'll speak to you further in the casino.
And he bows. Imogen Cole, I believe it's time I left as well.
Good evening, Carl.
Just one thing of note before I do depart. If I was to find, say, a more fitting primogen for the Nosferatu, would I get some support? Just so you know, it's not me. Just in the
Cole
case.
looks at Stan Soap, then back at Carl.
It would depend on the person, I suppose. But
Have any of you met Poddy?
no.
I think he would make an excellent primogen.
That is for your clan to decide.
I know. That is obviously for the clan to decide, but never reject any support anywhere you can find it.
I believe Miss Lucas is doing a splendid job. But if the clan Nosferatu are not pleased, then
I think she is doing a splendid job for the Ventry. With that, he bows and moves out through the door.
you wish to speak to me, my Fenshaw?
Yes. I wish that the Elysium could have been something more. There were announcements to be made, yet it appears they will have to wait.
You shouldn't beat yourself up so much. It's your first one.
It seems these youthful kindred perhaps do need a tighter leash, like you have spoken of in the past.
Go on.
I do not understand the type of sire who would embrace a child yet leave him completely uneducated about all ways. This Joey was a victim of his own ignorance, created by a fool.
Strong words against another primogen, Fenshaw.
I have not met the man, but I believe he will fit the words.
This will not just be swept under the rug. You're an elder of your clan. There are numerous ways you could have stopped that youngling. But you didn't. Tore him asunder. Isn't that interesting?
Cole takes a step forward to Stan Soap. Slight smile seems to cross his lips
The only thing I regret, John,
as he takes another step forward,
is that I've killed many in my times, but this last one was different. I feel nothing in my heart, ice in my veins. A man such as that can do almost anything, John.
as he takes another step forward.
What am I? Oh, John's feeling particularly cocky today. He doesn't flinch. He certainly leans back. You are an imposing figure, and he is a slight man. I am terribly sorry to hear that you are having trouble. I'm sure we can help you out of this little rut. Maybe a holiday, perhaps, some R&R. Get in touch with your humanity. It does people a world of good, apparently.
Cole quickly turns away from John. His left hand tremors a bit as he does so.
Yes, the humanity within us, all that keeps us from being a wild beast. Battle we all fight in these dark nights. Wouldn't you agree, John?
It is always a curse of responsibility. The higher you climb, the worse decisions you have to make. It is something that we have to bear and deal with fortitude. This isn't your first time, I believe.
Nor my last.
Cole turns, looking at John, staring into his very soul, seeing so much similar underneath the skin.
Will you have a party to attend to? Please give them all my regards. I will not be attending. I have loose ends to tie up here.
Of course, my Sencho. Someone has to run this court, if no one else can. Just remember, Cole, we're both monsters. Yours is just a little bit more obvious than mine. Doesn't mean I'm not as deadly. Ratty gets up and he bows respectfully. Turns his back on Cole confidently and limps out of the slaughtered man.
Cole wonders about man limping out into the darkness appear an enemy, perhaps something more beneath the skin.